Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast on a Monday. That must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, good evening. I hope you're surviving this strange world we live in.
Yeah, LA's doing just dandy. We had our No Kings protest, I think the entire country, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're all we're all still here and still animating, still hanging out and talking about nerd stuff, and I guess we'll keep on doing that.
Excellent. Got to keep on keeping on. Well, I'm going to
Hmm.
go and do a complete left field on you. I guarantee you're not going to expect the topic that I'm thinking of right now.
Mm,
The movie Dredd. Do you remember that
mm,
movie? Carl
hmm.
Urban?
Yeah,
Um,
well there's two. There's a Stallone Judge Dredd,
that's
and
a
then there's Dredd.
That's a
Yeah.
different beast. I'm speaking
And
specifically of the
and
Carl
you would
Urban
have
one.
really done really complete gazillion billion turn degree thing if you talked about
Yeah,
Judge Dredd.
true,
So,
true.
and I would not have expected that.
No, that
So,
would have been a weird one. For whatever reason, YouTube started feeding me clips of this movie.
mm,
The algorithm, I'm certain, knows that I like this movie. I've watched it many, many times. And so I was just sort of like, when I needed to look at something else over the course of the day, there's like this one YouTube channel has half of the movie in clip form up online. And so I was just like, occasionally when I needed a break, I'd watch like 10-minute clips. And man, I forgot how good that movie was. Just
yeah, it's a
wow.
terrific movie.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
criminally underrated. It completely bombed in the box office, which is infuriating to me.
yeah,
Um,
but it's one of those movies though where it bombed to the box
mhm.
office and then word of mouth got out, and I think it's a pretty much like one of those, what do you call it, sleeper hits for.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a better term that I can't. This is not coming to the
I mean,
top
it's
of
it's a
mind here.
cult classic. I mean, absolute
That's what
cult
I'm trying to.
classic.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. It's a
Yeah.
cult classic now because of that.
Yeah.
And hopefully the studio. I don't know which studio made it or anything like that. But first of all, it's a feather in Urban's cap. As much as we all love him in the gosh, I'm dropping names left and right
The
for the shows
boys.
like The Boys. Gosh, and maybe it's called Urban that I'm missing out. Like anything he's done, I can't name him except for Lord of the Rings.
We
But
played Eomer in Lord of the Rings, of course, yeah.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
played a character whose name I don't remember in the Thor movies, after they killed
Oh
off
yeah,
Heimdall
yeah. The
and
sidekick kind of. Yeah, the sidekick, neutral slash chaotic kind of guy.
yeah.
Yeah, he was good in that. But
It
yeah, it's just. I mean, Dredd was such a. I mean, I was skept. I remember when it came out, I was skeptical about him playing that role. I think, yeah, come on, they're not gonna. He's not. He. I was completely wrong. He's probably one of my favorite roles he's ever done. I mean, The
yeah.
Boys, obviously, he's great there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but but Dredd is terrific.
Yeah, it is. I forgot. I mean, I know it's how good it is, and I still every time I forget how good it is. I start watching clips again, and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
and it's one of those movies that I want to get. It's like that, like if the internet disappeared tomorrow, I still want to be able to watch this movie. Right? It's one
So
of
you
the,
get it on DVD.
except that the Blu-ray cost $80 because it's out of print. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that definitely
So
tells you cult status
cult status achieved.
is
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So,
Um,
but it was inspired by the Indonesian action flick The Raid, which is
mhm.
also a phenomenally good action movie. Highly
You've
recommend
told
that.
Yeah, you've told me about this movie for a long time, especially during discussions with Dredd, and I just
Hmm.
haven't got around to watching it yet, but I want to. I've heard nothing. I've heard again, it's another cult classic. I've heard just outside of you as well that it's a great movie, etc. You gotta go see it. And it's never got around to watching that one. So I'd like to one of these days. Just it's on my radar. It's out there. It's blipping once in a while. When
Yeah.
tonight it blips again. I
The
get it.
yeah, the sequel is okay. It's not nearly as good as the original.
Okay.
Um I watched it. I no, I don't no, 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 I don't know. Maybe I need to watch it again. In my memory of it is it got bogged down in plot way too much. The action
Mm-hmm.
sequences were stellar, just absolutely beautifully
Mm-hmm.
choreographed, but it really got bogged down in plot. But I will say that I was watching it under sort of in duress circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a friend at the time invited me to hang out. It was summer. Their condo complex had like a pool. She invited a bunch of people to hang out, and only two of us showed up. One of which was trying to get in her pants, and so we stay at the pool for a while and then go back to our condo to watch a movie. And I am like the super third wheel.
Oh,
Uh,
jeez.
but then we started the
Yeah.
raid, and I just made this conscious raid two, and I just made this conscious decision, like, you know what, I'm gonna watch this movie. I don't care if I'm blocking
What
anybody right
happens?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You might I mean as well. I
yeah,
mean, that's
exactly.
hey,
So
that's entertainment. That's what just envelop yourself in that world. Why not?
exactly, yeah. So when the movie ended, I made a hasty exit. Um,
I don't blame you. I would have done the same.
yeah,
I'm surprised you stuck it out. I would have. For me, I probably would have left a lot earlier. You have a lot more willpower, I think,
I
to
just think
just power through the movie. You know?
I think I'm just more of a masochist than anything else.
Oh God. Hmm. Well,
um,
I was gonna say with that, we'll do an awkward transition. I'll go into starting to animate something, I guess, while we start
yeah,
talking
let's
about
do
more
it.
stuff. As we always do on our stream, we try to do a sketch cast where I do some animation while primarily Eric, because I like to hear him talk about random pop culture stuff. We talk about stuff that's happening around the world of games, TV, his needing to avoid being a third wheel, that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, last week we left off with me doing this scene. It's all kind of there, but it's not finished yet. I'm kind of tempted to want to kind of keep noodling this a little bit tonight,
Mm-hmm.
while we talk about random stuff, whether it's more Dread um, or something else completely. But yeah, I'll be kind of massaging this scene a little bit as we go, and I'll probably jump into working on these warhogs here as she lands on top of one. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, as we go.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, we've talked about Dread on this podcast before, so I think my actual advice for anybody who's interested in the more of the details is to do a quick search on on the live stream tab on our YouTube channel, and you can dig it up
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, so I won't belabor that one. I don't have anything new to say. It was more, man, I
You
really
just
love that movie. Yeah,
you just want to be a fanboy for it.
just for a little,
You
yeah,
want
just
to
yep,
yeah.
yep,
There's
absolutely.
never I can you can never argue with that. I think that's yeah. It's a great movie. It's one of those things where we're not going to debate. I Everything you're probably going to say about it is exactly I'm pretty much right there with you. Um, it's an awesome movie. The only thing I wish now I went, because it bombed, obviously they never greenlit any sequels with Urban playing that role again, and the villain gallery that Dredd has.
Hmm.
I love reading the comics in the 80s and the 90s with Simon Bisley doing the art, or Beasley. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but I'm calling him Bisley. His rendition of Judge Dredd um, is iconic. I mean, it's when you think about Judge Dredd, you think about that giant chin and that
Hmm.
really painterly style that Bisley would do. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, his rogues gallery is so he has so many cool characters that he could take on, and it's just sad that they'll never get around to doing that. It does. I mean, I'm assuming at this point. I don't know. Do you remember which studio produced it? I'm
Let me see. Dread 2012 was um uh oh, you know who wrote it?
who?
Alex Garland wrote it.
What?
Yeah,
Wow, how old was he? 12?
I don't know, man, but it says he wrote it. That's
Wow,
amazing.
that is pretty crazy.
It was
Yeah.
it was a bunch of like three indie studios pulled their funds together to make it happen. Reliance Entertainment, DNA Films, and I Am Global are credited as the production companies. Um,
Wow.
and it was distributed by Entertainment Film Distributors, only in the United Kingdom. It's hard to say.
So in other words, it is as indie as you can get
It
because we
is,
don't
yeah,
recognize anything
yeah,
that you're saying. At least I don't.
yeah, yeah,
That's crazy. Um, geez.
yeah. a true indie flick, and I managed to see it in theaters too.
Yeah, I
And
think I did too. I think
yeah,
I did too.
and I remember when I watched it, I'm like, this is amazing. It's gonna bomb. Like I just you just it was too good for it to be a success. I don't know. I don't
You know
know.
what? You know what it is, and I know I saw it in the theater too because this is still it's still on the kind of the cusp of like comic book movies weren't like too
Yeah,
Hollywood just yet, and so I
yeah,
wanted to go see comic books that read as a kid, or whatever, and this one was up there. So, oh, Judge Dredd's in there again, and this is even after the debacle with Stallone playing that role.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but I still wanted to see it, and yeah,
yeah.
it's one of those movies that when restored my faith in comic movies. Not to the point where it kind of got became atomic and radioactive, like kind of is now a little bit, well, a lot. Um, but it was right on the cusp where comic movies are still cool and still kind of undergroundy and not really that cool, but yet nerds like us could go watch it and know, yeah, this is really cool stuff,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
fact
yeah.
that it's in comic form, yeah,
But
man.
yeah. So there you go. Um, it was yeah, a true indie action movie. Looks like it was
Hmm.
probably done on a shoestring budget,
Yeah.
relatively speaking. It seems like I if I had to guess, I'd say most of the money went to paying Carl Urban's fee, but I suspect he probably took a pay cut just to do this one.
I don't think he wasn't like ginormously big just yet anyway.
You're probably
Like,
right about that. Yeah.
because he was only had like I think before, well, was that after his role in Lord of the Rings as what you're saying, Éomer or whatever
Aomer,
on
yeah. Yeah.
Éomer.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This was in 2012 and Return of the King came
Okay.
out in I think 2003.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think he was doing anything else but in that span. But I'm sure he's still relatively affordable for an actor and kind of going after a B-list actor at the time. I think
Hmm.
now, I think he's probably considered A-list. I would imagine after the Boys stint, he's been at it for X amount of years, always being in the public eye now, and he's awesome
Yeah.
in the role.
And don't forget he also was McCoy in the Star Trek reboot movies.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he was great as McCoy. He's just a great actor. I really enjoy his work.
There's this really niche let me see if I can find it out. Like it was only made at like one half season on Fox. It was a sci-fi movie where he was a cop in a world where AI had become the singularity had occurred, right?
Okay, okay.
And it was like borderline dystopian, but it was still sort of the gleaming city on the hill kind of future um world, but there was you could see the rot underneath, and he plays like this hard boiled cop. Um, and let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. It was back in like 2014. Almost human. It only got 13 episodes. Um,
Hmm.
but it was really good. And I was always bummed that it didn't find an audience and it didn't get picked up. Um,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
so yeah. Uh, um, it was really good, and like one of the big twists, right? His character hated the androids because of character backstory reasons, right?
Hmm.
Um, and we learn though that he's got a an android leg, and so it sort of fuels his self-hatred, right?
Hmm.
And so there's this
Hmm.
big internal conflict that he has because he feels less than human as a result of him using this robotic leg, right? So anyway, it was a really good show, really underrated, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I mean, now that we're on this topic of these kind of dystopian future shows, I think we should talk about Blade Runner 2020 XX. I don't know what the number is for it, but
49, the one with
um,
Ryan
for that.
Gosling.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay,
Harrison Ford was yeah,
yeah,
Gosling was in it, and yeah. What are your thoughts about that? What do you think thoughts about that movie versus Blade Runner, the original? I'm just curious. We never talked about that one. Either of them, I don't think we
yeah. I
ever
don't think
have.
we've really
So,
spent any time talking about either one. I thought it was okay.
yep, yeah, same.
I mean, it
I
wasn't
want,
it wasn't a bad movie by any stretch, but
uh-huh.
it was. I'll be honest, I spent the whole movie going, this is fine. Why did they make this movie?
100% agree. I think they took way too long to even bother with the sequel, and it felt, I don't know, I don't want to use the term cash grabby or cash grab like, but it felt kind of like that, like because like you, I thought the same thing. It just didn't feel like there was any need for it. Especially with how much mystery is around surrounds the first one,
Yeah.
whether he's an android or not, that kind of thing. That's the biggest one for Harrison Ford's main character. I can't remember his
Right.
name, but
Right.
and I think they kind of answered it in 2049, and it was kind of disappointing and sort of not very memorable anyway, compared to the first one, compared to Blade Runner.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Blade Runner is an absolute classic. I mean, I guess it depends. You know, this is a like a larger conversation that we could get into, but like
Mhm.
I think the version that everybody knows was the director's cut, right? The one that
Yeah.
came long
Hmm.
after the theatrical cut, where they got
Yeah.
rid of the opening narration, and they made it a lot more ambiguous as to what Harrison Ford's character was, and Edward James Olmos' character had a larger role that was also
Yeah.
playing around with that nature a little bit more. I mean, I think that
Hmm.
that's what everybody really thinks of when they think of Blade Runner,
Hmm.
forgetting that that wasn't the version that was released at theaters. Excuse me. Um, so anyway, yeah, um, that movie is great. I've seen that movie a bunch of times. I got the opportunity when they did the final cut, where they took the director's cut basically. I think there was a couple of scenes that they made some minor modifications to, and then they went back and remastered um, all of the special effects, including it was. I know this was something that bugged Ridley Scott forever in the dream sequence where the unicorn is running around. The unicorn's
Hmm.
horn is like really floppy, and it's clearly not
Oh,
a
jeez.
part of the horse that it's been attached to. They went back and actually using CG firmed it
Oh,
up so it didn't wobble on the horse's head.
okay.
Um, but anyway, I was working at Warner Brothers at the time and actually got to see that edition in theaters. In
The final cut?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
You remember that theater that sat like a
Yeah.
1,000 people and had a screen larger than a football field.
Yeah, I am
Um,
envious because how come I didn't get a ticket for that? I was there too with you.
yeah,
But
I could. Yeah, why didn't you
no,
go to that? That seems
yeah.
insane to me.
Because you could pull strings and I could not.
I
That is why.
okay.
That's the magic of being a producer slash being a lowly animator.
That's
Oh,
fair.
woe's me. No, woe's me.
That's
No, no.
fair.
But we were in different. We were there was plenty of times when we were different buildings and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah,
sure you
this
had
was that actually
yeah.
was it. By this point, you had been moved over to, you had been moved over to the animation building.
Oh yeah, we had an animation building. We had one offsite, and we had the ranch also, the studio lot ranch
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
they film a lot of outside shots. But yeah, but that's awesome that you had a chance to do that. I am that's a first world problem to complain that I didn't get a chance to see Blade Runner Final Cut. I saw plenty of movies there, like Harry Potter, whichever ones they were, and even
Yeah.
300. It's okay. I think I'll be okay. You know. Um, that's cool that you saw that. So my only version I've ever seen was director's cut on DVD. I
Okay.
didn't even see I never even saw the original, so I had nothing to kind of compare it to. So my first version was director's cut.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And even then, I know there's a lot of controversy with all these editions. It's kind of confusing because Ridley Scott wasn't happy with one thing or not another thing. The
Mm-hmm.
original maybe was Ridley Scott mad at the original for some reason? Did the studio edit his stuff? Or
Yeah, I
I
think
can't remember
so.
how it went.
I don't remember the definitive explanation, but I do think Ridley Scott was pretty disappointed in the theatrical version of the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. But the version I saw, director's cut, I liked it. I thought it was great. But I did research it a little bit, knowing that they were trying to kind of wink wink towards Harrison Ford's character as the android kind of thing and trying to give more hints to that kind of thing, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whereas in the original, you didn't really know, and it became more of a conspiracy. Like, is he a robot too? And it kind of, showed up a little bit later on. Almost not to the level of like Darth Jar Jar with Star Wars or the Phantom Menace,
Right.
not like that,
Right, right,
but
right.
but
Yeah.
kind of along that, the same kind of recipe a little bit.
Yeah. And so, yeah, to have 2049 come out and basically confirm that Harrison Ford was a replicant and um and remove the ambiguity of the original film, I thought was kind of a bummer. And I know
Uh-huh.
that Ridley Scott at one point in an interview said, "Well, yeah, of course he's a replicant, right?" So he sort of ruined the gag himself, but still, like you had at least that. I guess patina of mystery, despite Ridley Scott's interview, and then with the sequel film, it dispelled any semblance of mystery at that point.
Yeah. Sometimes I always feel like sometimes leaving the mystery in is better.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
why do you have to answer every single little thing because fans want it? It's okay to not answer everything, and if fans get mad at you, you can't control everybody anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So just tell your story the way you want to. But I guess that's how he wanted to tell it. But I loved living the mystery for a while at first and not knowing, like X-Files did a great job doing that. I mean, I know it's a different medium with TV, but for a couple of seasons, it felt like there was always this. There was plenty of things where it was going around where will they or won't they. But I know you need to have a sense of resolution with stuff like will Mulder actually kiss Scully ever, that kind of thing. I get that, but sometimes that tension is kind of important for the overall story. And I feel like I kind of along with you. I wish that they would have kept it as just a question mark that fans could just answer themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, what are you gonna do? I
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
again, I didn't think it was a bad movie. It was, a very interesting movie to look at. Denis Villeneuve had a good sense of the look of the first film and did a good job of replicating that kind of quiet dystopia that the first
Hmm.
movie captured so well. But yeah, I mean, just the whole time I was watching it, it was over and over again. Why? Right? Like I just didn't feel like it brought anything to the table. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway, that is my extended thoughts on Blade Runner 2049. Amazon
All right.
is working very hard to ruin the franchise. Um, they are doing a TV series called Blade Runner 2099. And
Oh, that's the first I heard of this.
yeah,
What?
yeah, it's set
Really?
50 years after obviously 2049. It does star Michelle Yeoh, so that's good, but we've learned that Michelle Yeoh is not infallible after the Section 31 movie, that Star Trek Section 31 movie.
All right. So here's
Um,
where you and I will debate on that because
okay.
I didn't mind Section 30, 13 or 31. Was it 31 or
31. It's Section 31,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Section 31. I didn't mind it.
Well, I'm
I
curious
mean,
then.
yeah, only reason why is I think Star Trek's already been jumping around all over the place anyway.
Mhm.
That they're kind of just throwing stuff at the wall a little bit, and why not experiment with this? Now, was it the greatest thing that Star Trek's done? No. But I didn't. I guess for me, I just didn't hate it as much as I feel like a lot of Star Trek fans did. I thought it was okay, entertained me enough to watch it all the way through. Um, And I mean, I felt like there was an element of something there where I would watch a season of it to watch them go on different misadventures and they're out because here's the thing about Star Trek for me that I've always and this is why I think James T. Kirk is the best captain of all. And again, another debate we could all get into as well. But JC Kirk would break the rules a little bit and kind of just go headstrong and stuff and get in trouble for it and deal with it later. And I kind of missed that. And Star Trek since and then during the Picard era, and I love Picard. Again, don't get me wrong. It pains me to even have a debate about captains because they're all great in their own way. But Picard would break the rules, but be so much more cerebral about it that I would fall asleep and yawn at a certain point. Whereas Kirk, it was all visceral and emotional, and just there was a stupid bravado and the ham-fisted acting kind of thing that he would do. I just love that. And so to me, Section 31 kind of had some of that DNA to where they have freedom to kind of do that again a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I liked it, because I would try to follow a rule. And I think Star Trek Next Generation is where they really kind of got that, where everything's perfectly ironed and everything's always so, it always feels so like library and very follow the rules kind of stuff. It felt too formal.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, after Star Trek Discovery, Discovery again wasn't probably the most popular one out of every, on everybody's list. But Discovery kind of broke some of the rules, and then we got Brave New Worlds, which is kind of following, kind of actually had looseness to it again. So to me, 31 was just another natural part of the evolution of, okay, we can go really loose now,
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's my general thought about it. But there's plenty to not like about it too. I get it. I do, but I guess I just don't want to. I still consider Michelle Yeoh is still, she has not fallen just yet. I thought she did a fine job in that
Mm-hmm.
in that in that
Mm-hmm.
show, in that movie. So that's where I'm coming from. But I'm sure you kind of echo the sentiments that a lot of Trekkies have about it. You just hated it, period. And there's probably a ton of reasons why, right?
So for full disclosure, I haven't seen it. I've only read reviews and
Oh,
listened
okay, all right,
to friends of mine who have seen it, and some of which haven't even completed the film.
okay,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
disliked it so much.
Hmm.
I didn't watch it partially because I really despise the whole Section 31 concept. I find it to be the absolute antithesis of the future that Gene Roddenberry was trying to
Hmm. Hmm.
create, where humans had
Yeah.
evolved beyond that kind of clandestine conspiracy mongering thing.
Oh, I see
Um,
what you're saying. Yeah.
and it just wasn't needed, right? Like, yes, people played by dirty rules, but humanity wins by being the bastion of what, society and sentience is supposed to be. Um and I get that that's kind of what the whole shtick of the Dominion War was in Deep Space Nine, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I kind of feel like they lost the thread a little bit, with the whole utopian future, which is what I find so refreshing about Star Trek, because so much sci-fi is dystopian. So much
Hmm.
sci-fi is
Hmm.
about the decay and collapse of human society. And Star Trek, at least in most of them, like the original series and Next Generation and Voyager and Strange New Worlds, the the message that the subtext that they're saying is that no, humanity actually rises above its pettiness, and it becomes a model for what a society should be in the future, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine kind of skirts the edge of it a little bit. It tries to
Yeah. Hmm.
maintain that ethical high ground, uh, though it does descend from it from time to time. And Discovery made no attempt to um, sort of preserve that Roddenberry-esque notion of a better tomorrow, right? And
Hmm.
and so I think that those are probably my reasons more than anything else for why I didn't care for Discovery and Deep Space Nine, because to me it's antithetical to what Star Trek is supposed to be, pure and simple.
So here's my only. I hear it. I totally see where you're coming from. I know you've always said this about Star Trek, how you like the idealism that's kind of championed in the show, and where they've risen above the pettiness of human nature. But I will throw this at you, which is I get all that, but then there's other little pockets where they do kind of say that it's still around. So, like for example, to me, the biggest one is The Fault of Mankind, which is Star Trek Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, it shows how humans still have skeletons in their closet, and they're still trying to bury their past and try to hide away from. Hey, look how perfect we are. No, you guys aren't. You guys took Khan and put him on a planet and put a whole bunch of these humans down there that are genetically altered to in a chase for idealism. And what do you guys do? You kind of just bury it and you put it underneath your bed and hope that it never shows up again. And again, that I believe that was I don't know if Roger directed that one. I don't recall, but it was during him being alive. So it's almost like he did kind of. I mean, him being alive and saying yes to stuff. To me, it gave permission. Like, yeah, you can still show the ugliness of humanity a little bit. And boy, we're really getting deep into this crap, but you're still okay to say that humans are flawed, and there are pockets of our mistakes that we have, even in the far flung future when when we've achieved greatness, which achieves idealism, which I think is really embodied, and where I get that stuffed shirt from Next Generation. That's really, to me, that's the epitome, the height, the apex of it. But to me, there's little pockets here and there, little dots where we get hints that, oh wait, humanity isn't that great. And they make mistakes, but to actually cover it up and put them on a planet to die, man, that's pretty dark and pretty dystopian too.
Yeah.
But in general, I totally get your theme, though. I do understand that.
Yeah, I guess in my opinion, those types of things were always supposed to be representative of the fringes, right? Nothing is ever binary. There's always small amounts of gray, but
Yeah,
the sort of it's the very edges of the fringe are the things that are responsible for that. Whereas Deep Space Nine and Discovery sort of sent the message that no, this isn't the fringe, the very, very fringe. This is sort of the seedy underbelly
hmm
of the sort of the human experiment. And I don't know, I just didn't like that. Like I can believe that there are people who live on the fringes outside of society who are just never going to fit in, and in some
yeah,
cases are just going to be totally evil. But the thing that I liked about Star Trek is, like, in shows like Firefly, the central empire that ran the galaxy was an evil organization, and the fringe, the outsiders, were the good guys, right? And
hmm
Star Wars is the same way, right? And it speaks to the sort of the general philosophy that man is bad, man is evil, and can't rise above its evilness. And the only way you can be free, the only way you can truly be good, is on the fringes. That it's a pretty common trope. Whereas
hmm
Star Trek, generally saying, is like, yeah, there's always the fringe, but
hmm
by and large, human beings have genuinely evolved past their pettiness, evolved past their baser instincts, and
hmm
no, actually, society is the good guy now, right?
hmm
And
Sure.
so, I guess I like that, and I like it from the standpoint of, um, someone who is very liberally minded, because no one in the Federation is being, or especially Starfleet, or human alliance, no one is being subjected to this, right? Um they are this way because that is how humans have evolved. No one is being coerced into this. There's no
Hmm
subtext, right? So I don't know. I like the general notion that humanity can overcome and exceed, especially in this day and age. Like, a little optimism saying that human beings can be better than we are now. It goes a
hmm
long way. And so anyway, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Just yeah. And again, I totally, I mean, I do see that perspective with it, but the only other thing I'll say about Section 31 is, to me, I mean, when I watched it, it felt like fringe stuff. It didn't ever feel like you don't have to worry about this. This is them doing stuff in the shadows, very similar to Wrath of Khan. I mean, so it kind of does, to me, it falls into that. Either way, either saying that there's a commentary on humanity or not, either way, either side of our debate, to me, it still could fit pretty convenient in both ways, because you don't have to worry about ruining any of Starfleet's goody two shoes Boy Scout stuff that they're doing, and they're doing this in the shadows anyway. Um, so that's why, again, I just found it as a refreshing departure. But
Hmm.
um,
Yeah, again,
yeah,
that I think Section 31 is the opposite. Section 31 exists because human beings actually are still this.
evil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Section 31 is an admission that we haven't evolved, that all of the utopian scarcity solved society is just a patina, and that you still
mm,
need these lawless but sanctioned organizations to do the
quietly
dirty
sanctioned.
work.
Yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah.
And
As
so,
if this, so they have to run parallel with
yeah,
the and to me and to you, it's saying like this perfect society is flawed and almost it's off, and it is just a shallow
right.
thing of itself.
Right, exactly. And if you like, just, and by this point, at this point we're off in the weeds, but follow me
Mm-hmm.
on this tangent, right? Picard was sort of the, and Janeway too. I mean, she, broke the Prime Directive a couple of times, but by and
Yeah,
large, she was
yeah,
very aggressive. And I mean, a whole character trait for her was bringing the things that humanity learned to the Delta Quadrant, right?
yeah.
And maintaining that sort of moral high ground to say, no, 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 no. Yes, we are strangers in this land, but we aren't the bad guys, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, so to me, Picard and Janeway really expressed thoroughly this belief, this true belief that humanity had
Is
evolved.
good.
Yeah, but then things like Section 31, which is implicitly saying that no, 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 actually it's not. It's superficial. Well, it undermines Picard's beliefs and Janeway's beliefs, and it cheapens their philosophy and it cheapens their passion for humanity. And so
Mhm.
yeah, it just always bothered me as a result.
Yeah, I can see that. I think you're giving, I know, and I know you haven't seen it, but I think you might be giving it a little bit too much. I mean, and again, this show will never see the light of day after whenever it expends itself off of streaming. It doesn't have that much power to where I think it could completely upend the table for idealism for Star Trek. I think Star Trek is just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's its own little pulpy little side story, and that's all it really is. I get what you mean, like with them being like pretty much being parallel, but anything they're doing, I don't feel like it has a giant impact on anything. It felt like kind of like a pirate show slash. I don't know. I have to go back and I mean, I don't know if I'll never go back and rewatch it. There's no need for that. It's not
Right,
that good.
right, right,
But it's
right,
funny
right.
that it's funny to spend this amount of air on it just because of Star Trek stuff.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, it's still part of canon. But I don't think it has that much power to where it's going to upend any kind of idealism for Star Trek whatsoever. It's just a side little campy, pulpy kind of adventure on the side, and that's all it was for me, at least. I didn't get that worry at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Khan, I think, was actually more powerful as a story where it did kind of threaten this whole idealism type of thing. Like, look how great we are. Oh wait, and like that was there's a little bit more lasting effect for Khan, and which is why I think in the mythology of Star Trek, why it is still revered because of how it does kind of bring up that debate a little bit. It has more staying power. Um, and also, he did have to fight the original best captain, which is Kirk.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, the other thing
so
too
there's
about
that.
Khan though is he's a oh, man. We are getting super geeky with this right now.
Yes, we are.
But the other thing about Khan though is that he is a remnant of the 22nd century, right?
Hmm.
The Federation as it stood when Kirk showed up, um, they I believe that Kirk had, only the vaguest really understanding of what was going on with Khan and and so like yes, it is sort of you inherit the sins of your fathers to a certain
Hmm.
extent,
Hmm.
but it
Hmm.
wasn't Khan wasn't a product of the 23rd century and beyond. Khan was a product of the last generation, right, where the nuclear war comes along and almost destroys all of humanity, and that is the impetus for change that spurs in the birth of the Federation and first contact and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um,
So
Either
anyway,
way, yeah. At the end of the day, though, Khan's great,
yeah, oh
and
yeah,
Section
yeah, yeah.
31's and Section 31 not so great, not as great for sure. No doubt about that.
Well, we have
No doubt.
thoroughly dissected this,
Yeah.
far
Yeah.
more than any human being reasonably should ever dissect something like this.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad because I dragged you into this because
No, no,
no
no.
one even likes no one even likes Section 31 except
Yeah,
for
yeah.
I think just me. But here I am dragging a Star Trek fan into it just to talk about it.
Oh no, no.
But
I mean, full disclosure. Again, I haven't seen it, so I can only critique it to a certain point. And
I
in my
think you're pretty accurate though
yeah,
on your assessment, just based on what the internet has said.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Sorry, go on. You were saying.
Oh no, I'm just saying. My main I guess complaints are just with the concept of Section 31 in the first place, and the fact that this is kind of an offshoot of Discovery, my other least favorite Star Trek show, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I can't really speak to the overall plot or the performances or anything like that. I can only just speak to the
Uh,
general themes that I'm aware of about the show.
yeah, yeah. And last little bit for this for the Sexter one is the cast is great too.
Hmm.
They had a good core cast ready to go. But yeah, we'll move on with it. Let's talk about. We could move on to and we're kind of already. I know I don't know where we're at with time, but I know we wanted to talk about
We've been going for a good 40
Sinners.
minutes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but again, maybe it'll be a running joke where we never talk about Sinners.
Right, exactly. We always plan on talking about Sinners and then it never comes up.
um, as I mean, I guess I mean, we could be this. I mean, I could work on this Warhawk stuff, but I don't know if you're chomping at the bit to talk about Sinners tonight, or if you want to save it for next time.
Well, I mean, we
Um,
usually go for as much as an hour, so if you think we can contain it all in 20 minutes, then we can at least get started and then pick it up, you
yeah,
know.
sure. So I'll just jump on the Warhawk next, but yeah, I kind of we'll recap at the end. But yeah, I'll keep going then. I'll work on this Warhawk scene next.
Okay.
Yeah. So Sinners, you
Mm-hmm.
saw it. And you really enjoyed it, I'm assuming, right? I
Yeah,
mean, that's what you.
I enjoyed it a great deal. I thought it was a very, very clever spin on the notion of vampires. I'm not usually a huge fan of vampires, but I found this interpretation of it interesting, not least of which because of the sort of the subtext that it brought to the notion of vampires and what it meant in
Hmm.
the context of that era of American history.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This is one where I think you and I will be pretty much in agreement with the whole movie. I mean, because I thought the movie was terrific. I think it might be, as of right now, probably the movie of the year for me. I don't think I had a better time at the movie theaters this year, except for Sinners. I thought it was just excellent done, excellent story. Direction was incredible. Music was incredible. I mean, it's just everything you want to check a box on for. If you have a checklist of stuff you want to do to make a movie, he put everything in that, put everything in the bowl, and made an incredible movie. Coogler
Yeah,
did an awesome job.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
and then for me, I mean, as you know, like with me, I love Castlevania because I get to kill vampires, and just seeing vampires getting slaughtered or whatever, I'm totally down for that. I can't stand vampires. I'm all for the werewolves. I want to see werewolf every single day of the week.
I don't really care
So
for either, quite frankly, unless it's
really,
in the context of what we do in the shadows, and then
okay,
I'm always excited to see Reese Darby play a werewolf. So
okay, yeah. Yeah, what they do, Shadows gets a pass because those vampires make me laugh.
hmm
Those guys are
hmm
great. But yeah, I thought it was just like you said. I mean, you kind of summed it up. It's just taking a spin on an old story, old villain, old monster, and making it their own, and making it an American story. I mean, it's just.
hmm I mean, Michael B. Jordan was great. He did a great job of playing two separate characters. And bringing a different vibe, a different sort of character presentation to each one of them. I didn't feel like he was just the same character cut together from on different sides of the set, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Both characters felt unique and they felt like their motivations were justified within the context of the film.
Hmm.
I like the premise a lot. The notion of um, this sort of in very very rural. It was in Mississippi, uh, I think. But
Yeah.
well, anyway, in the deep South with the sharecropper farms and in the largely black community, and sort of just like building something that's completely for their, for themselves, right? But then the dark past of Smoke and Stack come back to haunt him to a certain extent, and
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
anyway, it was just a lot of really clever stuff that I really thought was cool.
Yeah, and I actually found what's the villain's name was it Remick?
Yeah, Remick.
Remick was a I found him to be a fascinating. He wasn't a cardboard cutout vampire villain at all. There was a lot more to him, and and again, the movie was done so well to add a little bit of mystery to his character, and then you kind of get it revealed like an onion
Mm-hmm.
through the course of song and through the course of story as you go on. Like you see him, and right off the bat you get a mystery because like he's coming in and he talks to the local folks and he's being chased by the Native Americans. And already like wow, how did this? Where did he come from? And like how did he get to this point? And then hearing his story and how he talks about himself, and yeah, it was just this the movie was so good for the protagonist and antagonist on both sides. I really enjoyed the unraveling on both, yeah, all the way through, like with Smoke and Stack and their history, and everything was done masterfully. I mean, I can't get over how good everything was on all sides. There was no side dishes in this movie. Everything was the main course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you get spoiled once in a while, I guess, Uh,
Well, I mean, the thing that was so
yeah.
clear to me about it is it was such a personal work for Coogler. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
you could see that he really poured his life's blood into this movie, and more so than anything else I've seen of his, um, it was just really. I just feel like it was a story that was in his soul that he
Mm-hmm.
just really had to get out, right? And you could,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a great movie from start to finish, but it is also clearly a passion project,
Mm-hmm.
um, that he was going to get done no matter what he had to do. And yeah, and just it was it was a work of love as opposed to just some sort of money making machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
and it's good to see him doing that kind of stuff because um, I didn't really care for the Black Panther movies, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of any of the, I just thought that the scripts weren't that good, pure and simple, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and and I'll never forgive him killing off Killmonger. Like that was an interesting character that they could have done a hell of a lot more with.
Yeah.
Um, and so anyway, and then the second one kind of became a bit of a bloated mess because Chadwick Boseman passed away, and they kind of had to not only make a sequel to the first movie but also do this massive pivot, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, anyway, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this is definitely Coogler's best work. I mean, I mean, you don't see eye on the Black Panther news. I thought Black Panther was great. I thought number two was great. But only two was great. But if Chadwick Boseman was alive, it would have been better. Let's put it
Mm-hmm.
that way. I
Mm-hmm.
think considering the circumstances and what Coogler and the creative team had to do, I thought it was a great job for the movie, and it was. I think we talked about way back in our streams about Black Panther 2. On my side, I don't think at the time you saw it, um, but I felt like Black Panther 2 was pretty much just a movie about mourning the loss of Boseman a lot. I felt like it was just a sad movie, and I think it was more cathartic at least as a viewer, I felt. I mean, I just miss seeing Chadwick Boseman anyway, but it felt like to me that that's what it was. But that's my perception and my feelings putting onto that movie. I don't know what was in their headspace at all, but it felt like that to me. Like it was kind of like a wake or something like that for that movie. And I did enjoy it. I
Mm-hmm.
liked having Namor in it and stuff like that. And I felt like it was an impossible task to try to replace both, Chadwick and after his unfortunate loss. Like what do you do? And then you have to sit there and scramble and make this commercial product for a studio and make a movie. And I thought they did a terrific job making it, um, but yeah, but it's not. They weren't his best work. Even with Black Panther, I didn't consider that his best work. I thought Fruitvale Station was still his best movie. That's one of his first movies, and
Mm-hmm.
if anything, is I thought that was it was great. But Sinners surpassed everything
Yeah,
at this point.
I do think it was him applying everything he's learned about filmmaking up to this point into a
Yeah.
work that was deeply personal for him. I mean, if I had one real complaint, it was the putting what in my opinion was a pretty critical plot point after the first set of credits. Um, it just felt a little bit weird to flash forward after we've gotten the conclusion of the credits, and I would just be curious to. I mean, it didn't make the movie worse or anything like that,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
but I just thought it was an odd choice, and And I guess for me, I would have preferred to just flash forward and go to credits at the end of that scene.
Just get everything in
Um,
one shot instead of just kind of breaking it up and
yeah,
staggering it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly, exactly. So
yeah,
I don't know, I don't know.
mhm, yeah, um, yeah.
Again,
I could, yeah, yeah. That's like a apples and oranges thing. I was indifferent to that. I mean, I feel like Marvel's kind of given the, it's to feel kind of marvelly because I'm tired of having to wait. For me personally, I don't want to wait for credits just to see more stuff, just to give me everything. So I guess I do agree with you on that. I feel
hmm
like if you want to nitpick, I think I agree with you on that. I think just tell me the whole damn story so I can get up and go, watch the credits that I want to and then leave. But nope, I gotta wait just in case. And we have Marvel to thank for that.
oh yeah, in a big way, in a big way.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. I don't know if you want to keep going with Sinners, but I think I'm in a pretty good spot on my side.
We're coming up on an
Um,
hour, so I think it's good. We
okay.
can revisit it and we can get into sort of the nitty gritty and the commentary on the nature of the vampires being Irish and some of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like some of the things that Remick says towards the end of it, because the
Hmm.
Irish were a deeply outcast
Yeah.
culture as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
anyway, we can spend more time on that next week for sure. Well, actually,
Sure.
yeah, next week for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I'm traveling this week, so I
Okay.
might be out.
Okay.
So I
All
guess
right.
as we wrap up here, so there's that.
Okay.
Um, well, I mean, as far as the scene, I mean, as you can see, like, I mean, I massaged this shot, and so hopefully, I'm hoping as you as a viewer, Eric, if you can see, like, her tail does snap now, and
Yeah,
it's
I see
looking real clear.
the little particles of
Snap.
the snap. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's
And it's
that.
very
And then
crisp, yeah.
yeah, so there was that massaging I was doing on that scene. And then on this one, this was actually pretty easy. And actually, I don't know what I was thinking here, but okay, we have all these warhogs
Mm-hmm.
and Calamity lands, as you can
Mm-hmm.
see here. But you notice on this one, um, the warhog has a tail, like has her half-eaten tail,
Oh,
well, half snapped off tail here. And,
yeah.
I'm looking at the camera, I mean, looking at the shot. So he
Yeah.
yanks it off, and she goes, it feels like she goes quite a distance to where she wouldn't land him right next to the snap tail guy. So I'm gonna probably take that out.
Yeah, I
But
think you're right.
I'm consulting the writers room to make sure I'm not crazy about this.
No, no,
Because
just
clearly,
you
yeah,
go ahead.
because clearly I might have been crazy just leaving it in there with the tail. That's all I was gonna say.
From the standpoint of continuity editing, I think it makes sense to remove the tail. I mean, it would take another shot of the warhog with the tail slowing down and coming in line with the
Yeah,
rest of the herd, because otherwise it feels right. Just from a pure just distance standpoint, it's unclear what Calamity's trajectory is when you see that warhog with
yeah,
a tail in its mouth. So yeah, I think
yeah,
your instinct is right to just get rid of it.
yeah. And again, I don't know what I was thinking when I originally did the animatic for this. Like, why did they want to do that? I
It's
wonder why.
why aren't you perfect in the animatic, James? Don't you know that animatics are supposed to be perfect?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. But anywho, that was the only minor thing. So normally, but yeah, we made some progress tonight. And we'll keep on going next week.
Excellent.
Well, I mean next week
Well,
offline, but and or whatever,
yeah,
So.
we'll figure it out. We'll find some time.
Mhm.
But okay, well we'll wrap it up there. We'll leave you for that tonight. Why don't you all the viewers head on over to calamityjane.rocks. That'll take you to our Patreon site. Please consider subscribing and helping us make this cartoon a reality. You can also head on over to social media, Facebook and YouTube in particular. That's where we post all of the main streams and all of our main updates. Instagram is also a place we can get updated as well, if that's what you like. I mean, presumably you've already found it on Facebook and YouTube if you're watching the stream, so good for you. But in any case, we can be found on all of those places. In the meantime, tune in, I guess at this point in 2 weeks, because we'll be off next week. And then yeah, we'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.